When Barron Trump walked into a high-end restaurant, he didn't expect his MAGA hat to ignite a public showdown. What happened next not only stunned the manager, but also set the entire city abuzz. It was a sunny afternoon in Los Angeles, the kind that makes you want to take it easy and savor the day. Barron, now in his late teens, had spent a quiet morning reading and decided to treat himself to lunch. He chose LA Terrace, an upscale spot known for its blend of elegance and exclusivity. A place where every table tells a story, frequented by celebrities, CEOs, and influencers. Barron had been there before and always enjoyed the peaceful atmosphere and impeccable service. But today, as he entered with a bright red MAGA hat on his head, something was different. He wasn't trying to provoke anyone, just expressing a part of himself. He was greeted by the hostess, a woman in her 30s, who seated him at a quiet corner table. The restaurant wasn't busy. A few patrons sipped their wine, exchanging quiet words, while Barron looked over the menu. At first, he didn't notice the whispers around him. A man at the next table nudged his partner, and some waiters exchanged glances. Then the manager, a man in his 40s with a sharp suit and sharper voice, walked briskly to Barron's table. "Excuse me," the manager said loudly, drawing attention. "We have a policy against political apparel. I'm going to have to ask you to remove the hat." Barron looked up, surprised but calm. "I wasn't aware of any policy like that," he said, his voice steady but firm. "It's in our code of conduct," the manager insisted, gesturing vaguely. "We want this to be a neutral space." Barron paused, weighing his options. Some diners looked away, pretending not to notice. Others stared openly. "I'm not here to cause trouble," he said, keeping his tone neutral. "I'm just here for lunch." But the manager was unmoved. "You need to take the hat off, or I'll have to ask you to leave." Barron paused again. His expression unreadable, he slowly stood up. "If that's how you feel," he said evenly, "then I'll leave." The room fell into an awkward silence as Barron gathered his things, leaving his untouched glass of water behind. As the door closed behind him, the tension lingered inside the restaurant. Outside, Barron paused for a moment, the warm California breeze brushing his face. He adjusted his hat slightly, reaffirming his choice, and took a deep breath. He wasn't angry, just disappointed. He had always been taught to show kindness, even in disagreement, but this felt like a betrayal of that principle. Inside the restaurant, the manager, still unsettled, dismissed his staff's concerns. "We can't make exceptions. This is my restaurant, and I'll run it how I see fit." But deep down, he began to question whether his decision was really the right one. Meanwhile, Barron walked a few blocks down to a public park, where he sat on an empty bench and pulled out his phone. He didn't want sympathy, just clarity. Was he overreacting? Was the manager justified? Minutes later, his phone buzzed with messages. "That's insane. They shouldn't have treated you like that," one friend texted. Another added, "You handled it better than I would have." As he read, Barron's frustration began to turn into determination. He didn't want to fuel the drama. He wanted to turn this moment into something meaningful. Barron began making calls, setting plans in motion. Instead of seeking revenge, he saw an opportunity to foster unity. He would organize a public fundraiser that focused on dialogue, understanding, and community building. He would make his message clear: unity over division. Back at the restaurant, the story was spreading quickly online. Some defended the restaurant's policy, while others condemned it, calling for boycotts. The manager began to feel the weight of his decision as comments flooded in. He tried to dismiss it, but the regret was undeniable. By the time Barron returned home, the story had gone viral, and local influencers were weighing in. Barron didn't engage in the online drama. Instead, he focused on what he could do next. He spent the evening planning a fundraiser, which he would host right outside LA Terrace. The event would serve as a reminder that even in the midst of conflict, unity could thrive. He reached out to local organizations, secured volunteers, and organized logistics. As the day of the event arrived, the quiet block in front of LA Terrace began to transform. Banners, food trucks, live music, and booths for local charities lined the street. The banner above the stage read, "United we stand, building bridges, not walls." By midday, the crowd had gathered. Barron took the microphone, addressing the crowd with a calm but powerful message. "Yesterday, I was asked to leave this restaurant because of my hat. That's okay. I respect their policies, even if I don't agree with them. But what struck me wasn't just being turned away, it was the bigger picture. We've become so quick to judge, to take sides, to shut down conversations. That's not who we are. We can do better. The crowd erupted in applause. Barron continued, "This event isn't about me. It's about all of us finding ways to listen, to understand, and to come together." As Barron spoke, the atmosphere in LA Terrace was tense. The manager stood at the window watching the event unfold. He hadn't expected Barron to respond in this way, and it left him conflicted. As the fundraiser gained traction, he began to question his own decisions. Inside the restaurant, tables sat empty, and the few patrons who did come in seemed distracted, glancing at the event outside. The manager watched in silence, knowing deep down that his choice to enforce the restaurant's policy had led to more than just a simple disagreement. It had ignited a community conversation. As the event reached its peak, something unexpected happened. The manager stepped outside and approached Barron, offering a sincere handshake. "I need to start by saying I didn't handle yesterday well," he admitted. "I acted out of fear, not fairness. Watching what you've done here today, it's humbling. You could have retaliated, but instead you created something positive." Barron, calm as ever, responded, "The world doesn't need more anger. What happened yesterday could have added to the noise, but I wanted to show there's a better way." The manager nodded. "You did, and I'd like to support what you're doing here. If there's any way I can help, I'd be happy to." Barron thought for a moment before responding. "Maybe LA Terrace could host an event like this, something that brings people together instead of pushing them apart." The manager smiled. "I think that's a great idea." The crowd, sensing the resolution, applauded. As the event came to a close, Barron stepped on his stage one last time to thank everyone for their support. "Today wasn't just about raising money," he said. "It was about showing that even when we disagree, we can find common ground. Thank you for proving that unity isn't just possible, it's necessary." The crowd cheered, and Barron stood with his friends and family, watching as the last attendees left, carrying with them not just memories of the event, but the message it represented. This story serves as a reminder that conflicts don't have to end in bitterness. By choosing grace, understanding, and proactive solutions, we can turn even the most challenging moments into opportunities for growth and connection.